Today, we're diving into a really challenging and, frankly, deeply cynical argument from the writer H.L. Mencken. We're going to explore his absolutely brutal take on whether good people can ever really, truly fix a corrupt political system.
You know, it's a question we've all probably asked ourselves at some point. You see the mess, the corruption, the dysfunction, and you think, man, if we could just get some honest, decent people in charge. It's that great hope, right? The idea that one person with real integrity can get in there and make a difference. But what if that whole idea is just wrong?
Well, Mencken's answer is a hard no. He doesn't pull any punches. For him, the political machine doesn't get fixed by reformers. It just chews them up and spits them out. And that's the tough idea we're going to unpack right now.
So let's start with this dream. It's a powerful one, isn't it? It's this civic ideal that it's the duty of good, honorable people, or gentlemen, in Mencken's kind of old-fashioned words, to step into the political ring and clean house, to bring integrity to a place that has none.
But Mencken, he saw this dream as just hopelessly naive. He didn't just disagree with it, he thought it was completely absurd. And to make his point, he used one of the most provocative, in-your-face metaphors you'll ever find in political writing.
And there it is. For Mencken, sending a good, honest reformer into politics was exactly like trying to clean up a brothel by sending in a bunch of virgins. He said this so-called remedy could only end in one of two ways, and neither of them involves actually cleaning up the place.
So, Mencken turns this shocking metaphor into a cold, hard choice. The reformer who walks into the political arena has two options. One, they can refuse to compromise, stand by their principles, and get promptly thrown out. They lose their job. Or, two, they can adapt. They learn to play the game, and in doing that, they stop being the reformer they were in the first place.
Now, this wasn't just some abstract theory from Mencken. He pointed to real people to prove his point. He argued that history is just littered with the stories of these tired reformers who went in with the best intentions only to get completely swallowed by the system.
Let's look at his number one example, Teddy Roosevelt. You see, Roosevelt started his career as the perfect model of a reformer. He was this high-minded amateur, full of righteous anger, ready to take on the political machines and the mob-stoking demagogues of his time. But here's the after picture, at least according to Mencken. Roosevelt didn't change the system changed him. He learned how to play to the crowd, how to use the very tactics he once hated. And in Mencken's eyes, he ended up becoming one of the very things he had set out to destroy.
This quote just nails the dilemma he saw. It's an impossible trade-off. To stay in power in a democracy, Mencken believed you have to compromise. You're forced to water down your integrity with, as he put it, the cologne spirits of the trade.
Now, what's really interesting is that Mencken didn't think this problem was the same everywhere. He argued that the American democratic system was especially, almost uniquely, vulnerable to this kind of decay, particularly when you compare it to older systems, like in England.
Okay, let's break this down. Mencken's argument was that England, for all its issues, had this built-in aristocratic tradition that acted as a kind of guardrail. This class of people, whether they were in power or not, kept a standard, a check on the worst impulses of pure mob rule. But in the U.S., we have no such thing. So politicians are left to deal directly with the mob, and our intellectual centers like Harvard have basically zero real influence on what happens on Capitol Hill. And what's the result? You get a political class that's totally walled off from the nation's best minds and its cultural life. Mencken had this famous line that President Harding spent his free time with bootleggers, not philosophers. The politician's world becomes this insulated bubble of just party loyalists and favor trading.
And for Mencken, this decay didn't just stop with Congress or the White House. He saw the very same corrosive force eating away at the American judiciary, pulling the courts down to the exact same low level.
And his critique here is just scathing. He basically argued that the best lawyers don't even want to be judges because the whole selection process is so political. So what happens? The bench gets filled with mediocrities, duffers, as he called them, and these judges just enforce whatever absurd laws get passed without any real thought for basic rights or the Constitution itself.
And again, he draws a sharp contrast with England. Over there, he saw a system that was guarded by an elite that, yeah, it was undemocratic, but at least it blocked downright ignoramuses from becoming judges. But in America, where judges are often elected, the slick talker, the shyster who knows how to pander to the right people, has every advantage over someone with actual legal brilliance.
So, what does this all add up to? Well, Mencken's final, sobering conclusion is that this decay, this corruption, it's the built-in price we pay for the system we have.
This is really the core of his whole argument. The system is set up in a way that an honorable person just can't win. The competition from less honorable people, people willing to say anything, do anything, to please the crowd, is just too intense. The good man is either filtered out from the very beginning or he's corrupted once he gets inside.
He wraps it all up by saying that for a person of integrity, a gentleman, to hold office and remain a person of integrity isn't just hard, it's a psychic impossibility. It would take, in his words, a miracle. It's a bleak, bleak outlook.
And that really leaves us with a final question to chew on. You know, Mencken wrote all this nearly a century ago. When you look at our political world today, do you think he was a prophet or was he just a pessimist? Has his grim diagnosis stood the test of time? That's definitely something to think about.